So here is an optional part 5 for your sunburst granny square bag, which is to line it. Now this is more of a this is how I do it video than a proper tutorial, because I am no sewer by any means, and I'm 100% sure there are far better and more efficient ways to do this, but this is the method I use. Firstly, we need to pick our fabric, and then we need to know how big to cut it. So I'm going to measure my square, not including the border, because obviously that's not part of the kind of pouch of the inside of the bag, and this is 6 inches square. I've cut mine roughly ½ an inch bigger to allow for the seams. You can always cut it smaller, but you cannot make it bigger, so I'd rather cut it a bit too big. Now you can do your fabric one of two ways. You can do 2 squares of the same size, which obviously you'll be sewing along 3 edges, or you can do it like I've done, and you can do a long rectangle, so you've doubled the length, so that, oh, there's a little mark on my fabric there, oh well, ignore that, so that you can fold it in half, and rather than having to sew along that bottom edge, you just need to sew down these sides. You obviously don't want to sew along the top, just around the 3 edges, otherwise you'll seal your bag. Now on to actually sewing it. So as I say, if you've got 2 squares, you want to put them right sides facing, and what you're going to do is either hand sew or use a sewing machine to go down one edge, along the bottom and up that 3rd edge. Do not go across the top, otherwise you will seal your bag up. If you're doing a long rectangle like me to save that one edge, fold it right sides facing and just do a line of stitches down the side. You can hand sew or you can use a sewing machine. I personally am just going to use a straight stitch on my sewing machine for this bit. Here is me doing that. Please excuse the bad using of a sewing machine. I am no expert at all. Crochet is definitely my thing. Now once you've done that, we are going to fold down this top edge. I think I've gone roughly ½ an inch, and then I'm going to use an iron just to flatten that out to kind of hold it in place. So there we go, I've ironed it flat, I've popped it back in the bag, made sure the corners are kind of properly pushed down, and I'm double checking I folded it over to the correct height, and I'm happy with where it's sitting. Making sure the edges of the lining match up with the edges of the bag. And now what I'm going to do is just clip this in place. Now you can use anything you like for this. You can pin it. You could even use hair clips if you haven't got other stuff. I'm using these little clips. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, they're kind of flat on one side, so they're handy if you're putting it through the sewing machine. So I'm just going to clip that all the way around the top. And now this bit you can use a sewing machine for, but I am hand sewing just because I don't want to put this thick of a fabric through my sewing machine. I'm sure if you are more confident with your settings and all things like that, you could do it on your sewing machine. But anyway, so I bring the needle from the back of the fabric to the front, and then what I'm going to do is, I'm pretty sure this is a whip stitch, if it's the same as when crocheting. So I've caught some of the threads of the actual bag, and then I'm coming through the fabric, and I'm just moving along, so catching some of the threads and then coming through the fabric, making sure the fabric stays folded over to give it a nice neat edge, and keeping it at the right height all the way around. You don't want wonky lining in your bag. And here we are. I'm just going to do a few stitches sped up, and there we go. You can see I'm not the neatest sewer, but it looks good enough for me. You can't see it at the front of the bag, so I'm going to go all the way round the edge of the bag, and then I'll show you how I finish off the thread. So here we go. As I said, I'm no sewer, but I think that looks okay. There's the yellow mark on that fabric again. That's really going to annoy me. But yes, I've gone all the way round, and here we go. I left a little tail at the beginning, and again, there are probably some sewers out there who are going to cringe at this, but what I do is I tie a knot between both ends. Don't pull it too tight because you don't want to like distort your stitches, and then do it again just to secure it. If there is anybody who knows how to do this better, please just tell me. And then I take the end under the fabric, just an inch or so, pull it through. You could actually maybe pull it through the crochet stitches if you don't want to put a hole in your fabric, and then do it with the other end. I couldn't get that threaded, so I've skipped that up here, but yeah. And then just going to snip those and they will hide between the lining and the crochet. I am just going to push the fabric back into the bag, push the corners right down, and there you go. Your bag is now lined. Like I say, I am by no means a sewing expert, but that is the method that I use. I hope that helps.